Business news from the Capital Region. This is Washington Business Report with ABC7 national correspondent Rebecca Cooper.
Thanks for joining us for a look at business and finance in the Washington region. This week, from gaining Olympic telecast rights to a new push from Capitol Hill for one local entity to improve how it does business, there were some big headlines for businesses throughout the Washington region. But behind the headlines, which stories will matter most to you? We'll break it down in the roundtable. Plus today, some surprising trends investors need to know in the market. But first, the Kiplinger family business is like no other. It's a family-owned, mission-driven journalism company surviving in the digital age. The third-generation personal finance publication, famous for its weekly Kiplinger letter forecasting trends, remains a business success, while the Kiplinger in charge continues to tout an interesting blend of conservative economic views with progressive social values in how he runs his company. Joining us today, Knight Kiplinger, the head of Kiplinger Washington Editors, Inc. Knight Kiplinger, welcome to Washington Business Report. You are an institution, your family is an institution in this town. How do you take such a valued brand and family name that's synonymous with what you do, business news, and protect the brand and still keep it fresh?
You have to keep innovating, you have to keep growing, you can't just stay in a rut. We're unusual today in combining successful old media print properties supported by paying subscribers, yes, they're still out there, with new media, Kiplinger.com, a website that is growing strongly in traffic, in ad revenue. They coexist under the same roof, they support each other, and they're both doing very well.
So let's start with the old. How do you convince subscribers to continue to pay for a commodity that so many news and even financial news consumers today believe if they just look hard enough, that information is available for free out there?
It has to be distinctive. There has to be some differentiating characteristic. In our case, at the Kiplinger Letters especially, our flagship weekly and bi-weekly publications on government, the economic outlook, and taxes, the unique proposition is a forecasting orientation. We're not in the news business. We're not telling you what has just happened. You can get the business news, the financial news anywhere. But for Kiplinger's well-considered judgment on what will happen next, what lies ahead, 200,000 paying subscribers in management think that our weekly forecasting letter and our tax letter are important to them and worth paying $70, $80, $90 for. And bless their hearts, they're still willing to pay for quality information.
And how can you point to your track record? What is it that you say to them that convinces them that it's still invaluable information? You
know, we don't keep score of hits and misses, but we know that our readers do. And in a sense, our high renewal rates, annual renewal rates, are an annual referendum on how well we serve those readers. We don't have a crystal ball. They know that we're not going to get everything right, but when they look back on the year ahead, the year behind, they have their renewal notice in front of them and they say, I got a lot of value out of that subscription this year. There were things that helped me manage my enterprise better, and they re-up.
So talk now about the new. Who really drove that at the company in terms of pushing towards the digital age? It was already a successful brand. Was there a sense inside the company, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
It was back in the 1990s. Every publisher was mesmerized and excited about the internet. We all made the mistake of giving away too much information for free. Now we're trying to put the free genie back in the bottle. You see newspapers with their metered story system. After 8 or 10 stories a month you have to pay.
No one has yet found the perfect formula. What is it that you think is, what formula are you working under right now, and where do you see yourself moving?
Right now, the readership, the traffic, the unique visitors at Kiplinger.com are growing so strongly with free content, and the ad revenue is growing so strongly, attracted by those eyeballs, that right now we are not charging for the content on our website. On the other side of the shop, the business forecasting side, people are paying plenty for the newsletters. They're not free online.
But they were already accustomed to doing that.
That's right.
As you say, so many media companies are now trying to figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle and take away something that had been given for years that consumers have been accustomed to. Do you ever see moving away from what you're giving away for free now towards paid content prices? You do?
Yeah, I think that we will start experimenting with the metering system that Financial Times, New York Times, Washington Post are beginning to have some success with. It's working. You want to do it gradually. You don't want to shock people with too high a price, but there is a new revenue stream there on previously free websites to start getting some charges for visitors to those sites.
And you don't think you'll hurt readership to the point that you'll then hurt your ad revenue where it becomes a losing proposition? That's
what our web people are very concerned about. They actually like free. They say we're growing so well on free, let's not diminish the audience by charging. It's a work in progress. We're experimenting. We've never been an early adopter. I say that we're a late adopter. We let other people get out ahead and take the arrows and the stones from the slingshots, and then we see what works. And then we ease into it as a small company.
It's something I've heard from other successful business leaders, so it must be a formula that works. So talk to me about your own lessons for success. You had to take over a company that had already been well run, well managed within the family and prove your value. You showed that you were willing to get your boots dirty by being an economics reporter for the Wall Street Journal for many years.
Well, a division of Dow Jones, a community newspaper division. I actually was their Washington bureau chief for the newspaper division of Dow Jones, not the Journal per se. Same parent company.
And in fact, I used to work for Dow Jones at the Wall Street Journal Europe, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But you went out there, you rolled up your sleeves, you got to work, and then you took over. What did you learn from the working man side that you vowed, when I take over, I'm going to bring these lessons to the workplace?
The things I learned from the old Dow Jones, the old Wall Street Journal, was the staff is the most important. Treating employees well, hiring well, retaining them with progressive employee relations, good compensation, good benefits, and more than that, an atmosphere of respect. That is the key to the success of a business. At Kiplinger, the customer comes first, our readers, the employees come second, and the owners, the shareholders, are way down the line. If you take care of your customers and your employees first, other good things will follow.
A lot of people say that, but you all actually have some very real life examples. You are a profit-sharing company with your employees.
That's right.
You say when things are going well, you share the profits. When there are no profits to be shared, you say it's the executives and the people at the top who will take the first hits, not the last hits. Talk a little bit more about how you can espouse this social progressive corporate model and make it work for the bottom line.
It's worked for us for 95 years. It's not altruism, it's progressive self-interest, enlightened self-interest.
What do you gain from it?
You gain a stable, successful business. You gain a business that moves fairly deliberately and slowly, that builds consensus, brings people along. You gain employee loyalty. No, it's not dead forever. At Kiplinger, when the hard times hit, and boy did we have a lot of hard times in the last 15 years, when the hard time hits, the pain starts at the top. That means you eliminate the dividend to shareholders first. Start with the owners, then senior management. You freeze their salaries before you inflict any pain on the lower employees. So you go through a hierarchy of pain, starting with owners, senior management, then you freeze the pay of everybody if you have to before you lay anybody off. Everybody tightens their belts together.
We've got lots of headlines we've got to get to in the show this week, so we've got to wrap it up, but I just have to ask you your last words to companies who look at that and say, you know, if that really worked, everyone would be doing it, and that's not how most businesses are run. What would you say to that?
I would say that the tyranny of the outside public shareholder and their focus on short-term results ruins a lot of good businesses. A closely held, family-run company can take a longer view. It can take a hit to the earnings for a year or two or longer, and it makes for a very successful, stable business.
So said by the longest family-held media company still in production today in Washington, D.C.
Indeed.
Knight Kiplinger, thanks for joining us on Washington Business Report.
Thank you.